What's going on, guys? This is the 100 TV, and today we're getting right into it with a special guest, somebody I know, but I'm gonna go ahead and let him introduce himself to the rest of the world. Go ahead, good brother.
First of all, to you, my brother, as always, peace and love, man. To everyone out there who has ever tuned in, peace and blessings. My name is Freddie Williams. It's my honor to know this brother here, Mr. Christopher Life Willers, who I've known for some time now. Myself, not a whole lot to say. Father, husband, son, grandfather, godfather, man of God, business owner, organizational owner, co-executive with my brother right here. And overall, I'm just honored to be here tonight. Peace.
A lot of stuff, man. I know this brother from the trenches. A lot of the people that I know, they've heard me mention the name. I've been waiting for him. I've been waiting for him to come out here and say some things. He recently just came home, so you know how that is. Anybody that's watching it that's been impacted, been through the journey of incarceration, you know how that transition is. So salute to you, good brother. We glad to have you on this side of things.
Indeed, glad to be here. And let me definitely, clarify that. I'm recently returning citizen. I haven't even made 5 months home. So on the 25th will make 5 months for me. I was incarcerated for 15 years, 7 months, and 25 days. Went in at 39, came out at 55. But I'm here. Praise God, I'm here.
You here. We got some stories, but
indeed.
I definitely tonight I want to get into what's really been, the pulse of the conversation lately. Over here, over on TikTok land, over IG, a lot of the questions are similar. What is prison really like? What's really going on? Is it really like the movies? And you doing a decade and a half, myself doing over a decade and a half as well. I definitely feel like we're qualified to speak on some things. I don't know where to start. But I know one of the most recent questions that got asked is, do they rehabilitate you in prison? That's been a hot button question lately over there in TikTok land. What are your thoughts? Because the backstory, I can speak on that. As far as us, we worked in the reentry program. Me and Freddie Williams, we worked in the reentry program together as positions they titled as senior elders.
Correct.
Which were basically mentors, or I would say co-facilitators.
Role models.
Yeah, stuff like that. Where we were liaisons between reentry staff and our comrades in the trenches. It was a weird experience for me. I don't know if what his take on it. I appreciated it because we were able to help a lot of people out. We were able to be a voice for a lot of people. But the rehabilitation process, I remember, as far as guys getting ready to go out the door, was iffy at best. I think there were some good pointers with making everybody get their IDs, Social Security cards, birth certificates.
Yeah, some foundational things.
Yeah, the saving. They started making guys save $1,000, up to $1,000, I believe. I think that was good, even though a lot of guys complained about it. But there was a time when I first came in the system, I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, you'd walk out of there with $25.
There you go.
And a kick in the can. Yeah. And we'll see you again.
That's it. What are your thoughts, man? What do you take? Because we both worked in reentry. Of course, rehabilitation isn't limited to reentry. I know I've seen it by participating in different programs, behind the wall, all that. But what's your take on it in your 15 years?
Well, firstly, I want to expand on it and say no one is responsible for an individual's rehabilitation. And that is the beginning right there of following a course of error. When we enter into a situation thinking that those individuals, whether they be counselors, whether they be treatment officers, whether they be IPMs, no matter what position or capacity they serve in, the second we begin to think that they're responsible for our own rehabilitation, we're failing. Rehabilitation, and you and I, worked very closely with the reentry individuals. Um, there are a few great people. There were a few great people at St. Bride's, and I'm sure that that's not isolated to that institution. But overall, rehabilitation fell vastly short. For one, there wasn't a proper, to me, on the outside looking in, there wasn't a proper assessment done of anyone. It was that you push everyone into a pod. We don't know where you came from, what you possess, your intellect, you don't know anything about you, but we're going to tell you that this is what you need. And that, to me, was also one of the first nails in that coffin, was a failure to properly assess individuals and then to properly hold you accountable once you get there. I mean, I could go on and on with this, but one, you're responsible. We're responsible. I'm responsible for my own rehabilitation. And two, there could have been a much better job done with what was supposed to be rehabilitative efforts toward us from the staff.
Yeah, I'm sitting here as you're saying that I hadn't even thought about that part. In order for you to know what I need, you've got to do an assessment. And the assessment he's referring to, when you first come into the system, you go after jail. After you get sentenced, you leave the jail. You go to basically a prison, another facility where they do a receiving intake, where it's basically prepping you to go into the prison system. And based on your age, background, these different factors, your crime, anything, that they can make, it could be your family background. They determine what level facility you're going to be on.
It could be that you don't have a diploma. That'll add 4 or 5 points to you.
Your age, where you're
nature of your
from.
crime, where you're from.
Right. And it's just an ill process because there's no real digging. There's no real questions asked. Everything that they do the assessment is based off, I guess for me, the surface information. Yeah, I'm from Chicago. I got locked up in Virginia, but how did I end up in Virginia? Because I remember that came up at one point when I was going through my process. Oh, he's not from here.
Yeah, same with me. I originally wasn't from here.
Right. So
hey, I do want to say something real quick, and not to get too crazy, but talking about perception, proper perspective of prison. The one thing that we really need to fully understand is that there is a mass incarceration status that exists in the United States. This has become, and we say it, we quote it in rhymes, but we need to embrace the fact that this is a money-making venture for the powers that be.
It's big
so
business.
If we really think that they want their product to get better so that it never comes back, we're deceiving ourselves.
It's big business. I just had a talk. I was talking to somebody in the family. I said, slavery still exists. I said, in case you didn't know, I said, it's a very real thing.
Legalized.
Yeah. I said, I was in the fields, on Powhatan. There was a man on a horse with a 6-shooter. It was hot outside. And we were just told to go. And
son, you could have slapped 1879 on that picture, or 1910, and it would have been appropriate.
You don't know. I guess we see it in movies. If you've never been incarcerated, you see it in movies. You might think it might be a thought. You hear about it, but until you got somebody on a horse with a 6-shooter, and you're picking in the field for hours, and when you get back, your back hurts, and your hand, you start to think and you start to question yourself as far as what's going on. But it's a big business. Prison labor, it's been exposed. They're doing a lot of things. They're talking about it more. There's conversation, but what's being done?
Well, conversation is always good, but it becomes ineffective when it never leads to action. So we'll see. It's always been a tool used to lull the masses to sleep. So I'm trying to stay on my toes, man, and engaging with brothers like yourself who are part of the solution.
Yeah.
And making things happen.
Yeah, they've been raising the prices of commissary, and guys are still making 27 cents in there.
And for people who don't know, the average prison salary is 27 cents an hour in Virginia. In an institution like St. Bride's, your average job will only give you 16 hours a week. So simple math, you figure out exactly where you're at the end of the month. Now, when you talk about buying commissary, the average individual only has the money that they make on their job. You have people who have families who contribute, side hustles, etc. But you cannot live.
You cannot live.
You cannot live with the prices that the commissary has, with the items that they have, and with the salary that they pay you. You can't do it. Once you get hygiene, your deodorant, your soap, your toothpaste, your toothbrush, your razor, and whatever items you need, you're already at your limit.
No, it's always 1 hour of work, and you can't buy one ramen noodle at night. You can't buy one stamp.
You're in the hole.
Buy one bar of soap.
You can't do it.
And I'll expose just the big number. A lot of guys might have been wondering while we were locked up. I'll expose it now. My pay rate. I had a big paying job.
Oh yeah.
I remember being excited making 40 cents.
Hey, I remember you and I going to the Miss Noah's office
fighting for
40
cents, 40 hours.
Word up. And having to keep it hush hush because we had moved into another tax bracket.
People don't know that prison is violent. Prison is hostile at times, but the world is, and just like here and there's politics. Just like here and there's bill. Guys got to feed themselves. They got to get hygiene. And there's so many things when people are always, well, I can't really relate to prison. You'd be surprised. You can, because the struggle is magnified for me in there. It was. We talking about rehabilitation. We're talking about mass incarceration. Matter of fact, I want to ask you one thing, because you're up there. I was locked up in Commonwealth of Virginia. You were as well. You're still in VA. When they did the mass release of guys up there, I don't even know what the number was. It felt like so many guys were coming home. I'm not sure.
It was supposed to have been 7,000 initially. Would have been released between July 1st and I think September 1st.
Do you think
they amended that, so that changed completely?
They reduced the number, or
correct? And for those of you who are not informed on what we're talking about, last year a law was passed that there was going to be a new good time earning credit program for individuals who are incarcerated. Prior to that, the best you could do was 85% of your time. The worst you could do, you could end up doing about 97% of your time if you caught charges and infractions and things of that nature. So with the new bill, the new law, individuals were now positioned to only do half of their time, and it was retroactive, and there were only a few crimes that were exempt. But when the current governor came into office, he immediately attacked the law. And so what eventually ended up happening is they amended it to exclude a number of what's considered violent or more serious charges. So that number reduced from 7,000 to maybe about $3,000. Praise God for the brothers who got out.
Yeah.
But, there was also a feeling of despondency and melancholy and depression and all of that from the brothers who had been preparing to go home for months, and then suddenly and certainly were told, you're going to do the rest of your time.
I couldn't even imagine, because I remember when I was getting ready to go home, I was able to count down the months, the days.
Sure. Yeah.
And just being somewhat in the back of my mind, kind of paranoid, like, hey, I don't want nothing to happen. I don't even want to do an extra day. So you got thousands of individuals that were told one thing.
Correct.
To be released. They're calling their families.
Correct.
Their moms, their wives, their daughters, their sons, their brothers, and they're getting excited. They're making preparations. And then you're saying they came through there one day. How did they, was it a memo?
Well, I was gone by that time, so I'm relying on, the feedback I got from the brothers who's still in there. But at St. Bride's, the warden pulled everyone who was affected by that into the visit room and just pretty much flat out, frankly and forthrightly said, it's over. It wasn't her call, but It's over. And I don't know if that was a method that was utilized in the other institutions, but one thing I do know is those cats knew.
Wow.
And it speaks. We've got to get something, and is that sometimes your freedom can be legislated. And we're talking about prison, and I think the main thing that we may want to predicate everything on is the easiest way to win this prison thing is to not to ever get in it.
So be proactive.
Be proactive and be, if you're involved in anything right now that can send you to prison, I get being gully, I get being whatever, but all of that stuff is going to go out the window when you're standing in front of the judge and he's giving you a number that you can't even calculate.
There's no reset buttons, man.
No, it's not. Not when the gavel comes down, there's not.
The way everybody's moving out here, not everybody, but figuratively speaking, it's almost like everybody's in a video, or they think they're in a video game. And they're not understanding, because the level of violence, and I'm down here in Atlanta. We just talked about it before we hopped up here, different cities. It's ridiculous. Because I remember a time living in this world where I didn't feel tension. Now, when I go out here in society, I feel it. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like there's an undercurrent of something going on. And it's not just, that doesn't just emanate from prison.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
That's why we're up here fighting. We trying to wake people up and say, hey, be proactive. Pay attention to what's going on. When you see something's not right, or when your gut instinct is telling you don't go on that ride, whatever, don't go.
Don't go.
Because if you go, you might not come back.
Real quick, let me say to that point, each crime that I committed, and I'm not the guy that says I was guilty, or innocent, each crime that I committed, prior to the commission, I had multiple warnings on not to do it.
Yeah.
In conjunction with that inner voice telling me, yo, Fred, chill.
No question. Me too.
So every man is going to get a warning. Everyone is going to get some level of admonition. Everyone is going to get that voice that tells them to chill. But it boils down to is what decision we're going to make, and that's where wisdom comes in.
Right. And I want to say this just to add on to that point. Not only is there no reset button, but whoever you think is with you and whoever you're riding for, I'm not saying they're not going to be around, but if there's 9, there might be one person with you when the smoke clears, when the judge hits the gavel and you're in there. If you think you're going to be celebrated for something that's going to cause you to be put behind that wall or lose your life, you'll be celebrated short. It'll be a short amount of time.
Hey, well, let's throw that under the banner of what prison really isn't. And what it really isn't is a place where somehow you're elevated to this mythical status, and everybody is putting money on your books. Yeah, I did over almost 16 joints, and I've seen brothers who were affiliated with everything, brothers who came from neighborhoods where they knew everybody, brothers whose name didn't just ring bells. It was painted on the sides of walls with murals, and they get in there broke.
No question.
No one supporting them, no one writing them, on the phone, asking cats for dough, getting brushed off. And you make a good point, because the honeymoon period, it ends. No honeymoon goes on forever. And you've got a honeymoon period when you get locked up on the average of where you're missed. But out of sight, out of mind, and life goes on. And the one thing to really embrace is that nobody owes you anything. So if you go in beginning to impute and attribute obligations to people, you're really going to be twisted sideways when they begin to disappoint you.
Man, it is the illest feeling watching. See, that's the part of the story a lot of people don't see. When the story's told about these street guys, these street legends and all that, they talk about when they're up, what they were doing in the streets. Oh, such and such. They'll even celebrate. Yeah, such and such pop. Now he doing, but they're not really thinking about what he's going. He's turned into a ghost. He's gone. and the conversation is going to cease.
Conversation. Y'all heard a deep statement the other day, man. Matter of fact, it was in a movie. The brother said, "A man only dies the last time his name is spoken."
I feel
And
never,
these cats gonna stop talking about you after a while. Why? Because there's other guns busting, there's other keys getting moved, there's other e-pills getting sold. All of that stuff is still happening. And matter of fact, it's not even being affected by your absence. So you'll be
yeah.
forgotten for those acts soon.
It's just like anything else, man. You can't think that you're invincible or that your value is so high that you can't get touched. Recently, here in Atlanta, the prosecutor, she's on a run, man, and she's put it out there. Look, RICO charges coming. We're not discriminating, and she started off with two of the most popular rappers in the game, and their crew. I don't know what happened. I don't know the details. Innocent, guilty, none of that. But these guys, millionaires, Grammy went all that, traveling the world, and they wake up and the feds are outside their mansion and they have not got bond. They've been locked up. They've been, they're in a cell now. So that, that's to the youngins that's watching them in the game, that support, there's a lot going on in the hip hop community, with PNB, so many, no reset button. That's the bottom line, man. Don't make yourself a street martyr that's gonna be forgotten in a few minutes.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Culturally, and it's a cultural issue. Our culture seems at sometimes to embrace these actions and oftentimes give cause for cats to perpetuate them. We seem to put a high premium on holding it down, of retaliating in the eyes of the slightest slight, of overdoing it. We overdo it a lot. Our argument does not have to get somebody murked.
No.
And so in conjunction with that, cats have to understand that there's someone responsible for the creation of this culture or this cultural movement toward violence and just an overly aggressive form of expression. And the creators of it wasn't us.
Nah.
But what they did was when they started putting out these images, putting out these sound bites, putting out these mannerisms, they also began to build more prisons.
Hey, you want to hear something crazy I heard recently? I don't know if this is true. So somebody needs to fact check this. Maybe I'm on TikTok.
Right.
I use TikTok. TikTok has now became the #1 search engine. It surpassed Google. Um, I like it because I'm a visual person. So if I want to look up a restaurant in Atlanta, I can put it and I can see, But I found this out. They said that dealing with China and the algorithms, because that's where TikTok comes from. They said TikTok in China is totally different than what it is here. It's night and day. There's a reward.
Completely.
There's a reward system in TikTok, right? Which causes the algorithm to bring more content that you tap on,
Mm-hmm.
right? It finds you. It's on your For You page. It's on, where you're scrolling, whatever it is. But in China, they reward positive posts, educational posts, posts about science, history. So that's what TikTok is. And that's the stuff that's on their feeds and their For You pages and all that. But over here in the United States, the algorithm's different. What's negative, that's what's rewarded here. And that's what's fed into the algorithm. And that's what people, when you get on the internet, that's what people are intrigued by.
Yeah, yeah. You see a story of a guy who made it and is now giving back to the community. You're going to rush right past that if you see 4 people just got killed in Young's Park or wherever.
Yeah, you're running onto it.
Another something, a stat to go along with that is that I think over the past, prior to this latest epidemic of violence, crime had been down, I think, for like 10 years. But they say the coverage of crime was up by almost 600%. So now the impression one has by watching the news and these media sources and venues, is
Yeah,
that, you know, the world is going bananas, when in actuality things had been calming down.
man.
So it's
Perception.
perception, but the, you know, perception is being fed to us. And if you're comatose, if you're being seduced or lulled into sleep, you'll wake up with a whole new brain pattern, a
Right.
whole new way of perceiving and perception, and you'll be behind the eight ball.
So I wanna get in. We're talking about perception. 15 years. We talked a little bit about receiving as far as assessment, getting into the system. What are some of the compounds you touched, some of the prisons, and if you can, like, if break down the levels. I don't know if you were all on low levels the whole time. If you touch,
Not at all.
yeah.
Not at
So if you can
all.
go ahead and mention that and the
Yeah.
difference, maybe brief, because there's some questions I want to ask specifically, but just let people know kind of your journey in the 15 years as far as security levels and penitentiaries and stuff.
All right. Well, I came from Virginia Beach Jail. Stayed there for maybe a year and a half. From there, did my receiving was at Deep Meadows, which is a receiving center. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily, at the time it was a level 2. There was a portion that was level 2, but it was receiving, which means that after you leave the jail and after your sentence and your class, you go to these places to be classified. And from there, you're sent to your initial institution. I started out at Keene Mountain, which is a level 4. Keene Mountain's name indicates just what it is. It's on the top of a mountain. Again, it's a level 4, which is one of the higher level security institutions. At this particular spot, you walk on the compound, you have guards on catwalks outside on the walls with rifles. Every so many feet, you have another guard with a tack bred German Shepherd. It was 23 and 1 at the time I was there. You're locked down most of the day. You could come out a certain time at night, and you come out a certain time in the morning. Um, Definitely restricted movement. Again, it's a level 4. You didn't just walk where you wanted to walk. You didn't just go where you wanted to go. In terms of the socialization, the social atmosphere, it's a place where cats had a lot of time. If you were there, you had time. I had 18 years I was sentenced to. I'm with brothers who had triple life plus 700.
Yeah.
There's a different atmosphere in that brothers tend to be a bit more serious, but also a bit more mature at times. Some of the things
I want to stop you real quick, and then I want you to keep going. I was sentenced to 19 years. I was sent to Sussex 2, which is another level 4. And I remember at the jail, I had the most time that I knew. When I got to prison, I realized you got a chance at making it out, because some of these guys, they're never going home. Like, and it was an ill feeling. Like, did you ever feel that way? Did you, not that you were saying, oh, hey, this guy's situation is worse than mine, but or comparing the two, but did it help you put things in a perspective, or out the gate when you got your time, when you hit prison, you just knew you were getting home? There was a fight from the gate, because some guys, they say they didn't think they would make it through 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. We got sentenced to double digits, and then we hit level 4s.
Well, I predicated this whole portion of my speech with I'm a man of God. So I actually was saved just a few days before I went to prison. So I knew I was coming out. I just had the faith, not so much in myself, not so much in the system, not so much in the people around me, but I had the faith in God that he was going to get me through this and get me through it in a fashion, in a manner that was going to ensure that I came out much better than I went in. But to be honest and truthful, I did compare my situation. Everyone that I knew was not going home, that I was really close with, none of them were going home. And I had to, and I would implore any and everyone, if you get in these scenarios where you're surrounded by individuals who have an incredible amount of time, you need to understand that could have been you.
Easy.
And what I always thought was, yo, that really I could have got a body out of this.
Yeah, it could have easily been me. I know.
Easily. And you said the key word. What that did was magnify my hope that, man, at least I have the opportunity to get out.
Right.
And for me, I had so much love, not just for where I'd been positioned by God, but for these brothers, that I didn't want to do anything to sully the honor that I felt that they were bringing to this. I didn't hear these brothers complain. They not messing with nobody. They're not doing anything. These are righteous, honorable brothers who just, unless God moves, you'll take your last breath in prison.
And it's crazy. I started off on Sussex, and to this day, there's at least one brother that does. Well, no, there's two that call me every now and then, and they're still on level 4s. They can't, because of their charges, they can't drop their level down yet. I don't even know if they can. And it's just crazy to think that I started there. I met them there. I'm home. This is 2022. I was locked up in 2003, and they're still there. But yeah, it's ill, man. It definitely put things into perspective for me. But you're speaking on King Mountain, so I definitely want you to keep breaking all that down, and just illustrate the points, the differences, man. Mountain.
The major difference was it was in the mountains, and black folk don't populate the mountains.
Nobody.
This is an institution that is almost wholly and solely ran by Caucasians, but they're mountain Caucasians. So it was different. But the one thing that I can say was, at that institution, I don't care who it was ran by, you got everything you were supposed to get.
I heard that.
When you were supposed to get it.
I heard that.
It's a prison. It's not meant for you to be laid up, with your feet up, on big down pillows.
Yeah.
But it was ran
right
smoothly. It was ran smoothly.
It's almost unheard.
Go ahead.
It's almost. I've never been to an institution when I was incarcerated. I thank God I never have to go back again. I was never at a place where everything ran the way that it was supposed to. I was always on an institution where it would, like, there weren't enough guards, or something was jacked up. And then
let me not say that now. Okay. In terms of some of the processes, it ran smoothly. But believe me, there's times you didn't get wrecked. There's times of chow was off. There's times of classes again. It was still,
any crazy moments on King Mountain? Maybe not with you, but maybe that you heard of.
It definitely wasn't with me. But listen, so it's like the first crazy moment was just the fact that I was going there. My counselor told me, the cat who classified me, that I was going to Nottoway, which would have put me closer to home. I wake up, Williams, pack up. I get down to the Sallyport. Yo, where I'm going, yo? You're going to Keene Mountain, man.
Your knees got.
Son, forget the knees. So,
man,
that was something. But when I got there, they put you in the hole immediately. So from the gate, I was in the hole for 2 weeks. And for those uninitiated, that's an isolation. You're in a cell by yourself. You do not come out except every 3 days for a 15-minute shower. You're fed through a slot in the door, and that's it. So 2 weeks of that. I get moved to my pod, and the second day I was there, I hear boom, and I'm like, yo, what is that? And they have a shotgun in the pod. So again, if a lot of people, you might not be able to envision this, but there's a pod, 2 floors. There's a booth, a glass booth where the COs sit in. In Keene Mountain, these booths have gun ports, 4 gun ports. If something jumps off in the pod, what they will do is stick the shotguns out of those gun ports and bust the shotgun off. The first time it's with rubber bullets. The next time it's official buckshot. So the one thing to not even underestimate is rubber bullets is just something to lull you to sleep.
Man,
Cats have their eyes put out with rubber bullets. People have been maimed with these rubber bullets.
I
So
got
that was my second day. And I could go on and
on Sussex 2 in the chow hall. I was working, minding my business, doing my kitchen job, cleaning tables, and I had my back turned, and two guys from Newport News, I want to say, got to fighting a bunch of guys from Norfolk. Something along the line. Maybe it was crisscross, whatever it was. And in the chow hall there, they got the guns. She stuck it out and let off. And I don't even know if she was aiming, because I had nothing to do with nothing, and I was wearing all white, and I got hit. And boy,
got hit decent too, huh?
Yeah, I was going to medical for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'll leave a mark, won't it?
As far as me being incarcerated, they treated me well. If that was any prize for that.
Hey, while I'm thinking about something, if I may just address, talking about what prison is, I just want to cut it off right there. Anyone listening, if you're preparing to go to prison, matter of fact, if you're in prison, understand that prison is exactly what you make it.
Right.
Let's not get gassed. You can go to some spots where the tension level is on 2,000.
Yeah.
You can go to some spots where cats are looking you as food the second you come off the bus. And the only way you're not going to end up on a plate is to hold it down.
Right.
But for the most part, you're going to go somewhere that you're going to have to get engaged in something for that drama to come at you.
Yeah.
There's a saying that an honest man is respected amongst all parties. You've got brothers doing mass amounts of time who have never wild out, who have never extorted, who have never pushed dope, who have never done any of that, but they're respected because they're righteous, they're honest, and they're for the people. So understand that if you're going in, this is what you make it. Don't let your homeboys get you gassed. Don't let your affiliates get you gassed. Sometimes it's going to require you to cut some individuals off. Yo, I saw something, right? The cat, Neil Tyson DeGrasse.
Yeah.
He broke down how when they shoot rockets in the air to go into deep space or even into near space, they have boosters that fall off at a certain point. This is life. There's some people, man, that for you to get to the next level, they're going to have to fall off, man. And oftentimes you're going to find yourself in the prison setting having to make the decision to distance yourself from the cats who what do they say? That's in the sandbox? That's what they came up in the sandbox? Yeah. We ain't in the sandbox anymore. We're trying to stand on solid ground.
I can write a whole book. I grew up in prison. When I got locked up, I was 19. So I went through a trial, and I really found myself. And
I watched you grow, bro. I watched you grow. I had the privilege to watch you grow.
But I remember there was a point where I was like, oh, I want to go this way. And especially towards the end of me being on St. Bride's, I had lost a couple guys that were really close to me because my pardon had got shot down and everybody was expecting me to wild out. And I was like, no, I'm still going this way.
Right.
And man, you couldn't hit that. That point is so true. And I just want to say this before we get back into it. Do not be scared of letting go. Sometimes you got to let go of something so you can take hold of something, something greater.
That's a jewel right there too.
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm pretty sure so many people can attest to it. He just hit on the head, Neil deGrasse Tyson. So many others have put it in different words. When you're going to a different place, you're going to see a different face, man.
Indeed.
Faces, different conversations, man. But man, yeah.
So Keene Mountain, all type of banana stuff. But at the same time, I had a great opportunity to serve as a tutor for like 3 years. I was a chaplain's assistant, and also, in the church. So from Keene Mountain, I went to Lawrenceville.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was only for 8 days. I was there for 8
Oh,
days. Yeah.
oh,
So,
oh.
but please don't mistake that. I definitely got the feel of how it was going down there. Lawrenceville is a whole nother animal.
It's going down in Lawrenceville right now. They just had a guard fall through the roof on Lawrenceville.
What was he doing on the roof? Who's he trying to see? Where's he going?
Any, any, anyway, I don't know. I might have heard a few things, but I don't know. I'm saying, like,
hey, when COs start falling through the ceiling, we got to check out some things, man.
we got.
Is there anybody else up there? I mean,
what's going on?
Yeah, banana.
It might be a buddy of mine's on. I haven't heard from him. I'm almost positive they're online because he just said it's bananas up there. But you were there for 8 days. Tell everybody a little bit about the reputation of Lawrenceville, even though you were there for 8 days, because I know they're hearing us talk about it. But
yeah, well, I think the term you hear most closely associated with Lawrenceville is it's the streets. There's no difference other than you can't leave when you want. It's the same, however many square feet. It's the same circle. Other than those things, and you being in the cell, everything that you can get on whatever street and whatever hood you want to call out, you can get in Lawrenceville.
Yeah,
I'm talking about. Hey, it is what it is. It's not like I'm whistle blowing. Everybody knows it.
Steve Harvey was on the radio. He made a joke about Lawrenceville. He said, "If I ever get locked up in VA, I want to go to Lawrenceville."
Well, and for everyone out there, the difference is that Lawrenceville is a privately run institution. So the Department of Corrections doesn't run Lawrenceville. Some other entity and organization runs it, and it's definitely loosey-goosey.
It's definitely. So Lawrenceville, 8 days.
8 days.
8 days, and you got sent where?
Then after Lawrenceville, I got sent to St. Bride's.
Why were you there for 8 days? Was it just
because my annual reviews overlapped.
Oh, so
the year before I had asked to go to Lawrenceville,
and then they sent you to a level 2.
Right, and that year I asked to go to St. Bride's. So at the time I'm asking for St. Bride's, Lawrenceville came through, and by the time I get to Lawrenceville, St. Bride's comes through.
Hey, I want to hold up real quick, man. We got a question from Faith in Things. I want to bring this to you. It says, as someone who has never been in trouble and support an inmate, how can I deal with the mindset that's only prison, prison, prison? I'm like, man, your mind is gone. So I'm gonna say that, and then I'm gonna let this this very intelligent, wise brother. I feel like he could touch on this real quick.
Takes one to know one, brother.
I'm just gonna say this real quick, Faith. I don't know if you want to put in the comments. I don't know how long he's been incarcerated. I don't know the situation, but I will say there is a point, at least I've learned in my life, where if it took me X amount of years to become a certain way, and maybe that happened through incarceration, I'm not saying it's going to take years to decompress from that or get away from that, but it's been taking work. And I'm transparent. I do posts about it. I go to therapy. There's other things that I do. Prayer is essential. Certain things for me, not to tell you, what to suggest to him, but it takes work. And I'm gonna let the good brother speak on it real quick. That's all I'm gonna say. Go ahead, man. I know you can definitely touch on this. And and the reason I want to pass this to you is because I've been home since 2020. You're just coming home not even 5 months. So that's why I really want you to touch on this.
Well, for one, Faith, thank you for your question. Let me say, for one, this is really going to be dependent. He has 10 years or has been locked up for 10 years already.
Yeah, 10 years.
Well, first of all, let me say something. I don't think that you have to deal with any mindsets. If you've been with this brother for this period of time, then that means that you're invested. You've made a commitment, you're dedicated to him, and you're seeing something in your future, and it includes him. At that point, you cannot deal with mentalities. You're going to have to challenge and confront mentalities that are not conducive to him coming out. Forget him coming out, to him being in there and becoming the best version of himself that he can be, so he can come out to you and give you the best because he's the best.
Right. And I want to say this as well. All right. And she just said, let me go ahead and put her comment up. Says he has 20, he did 10, they gave him 3 more. All right.
Hey, well, first of all, Faith, let me salute you for standing by the brother's side. Now, I want to openly say again, I've talked about I did 15 years, 7 months, 25 days, whatever, but also understand that I went in, I was married. So I had a wife who stood by me, who stood with me, who stood over me at times for that entire duration. And I can tell you that she was not tolerant of any nonsense. Why? Because it could be said that we were losing time. So we were not going to compound the issue by losing more time because, one, my mind is not right in there, so I'm extending my time. And one of the laws of physics is that an object in motion tends to stay in motion. So the intellectual motion that you have going on when you exit out of a prison is going to be the motion that gets manifested when you hit the street. Yeah. So we have to understand that I can't go from whiling in there to all of a sudden being Bill Gates out here.
Yeah. And I want to say this too, Faith. I met the woman who became my wife later on in my incarceration. And actually,
yes, I spoke with her.
Yeah. And we got married while I was incarcerated. So my situation was a little bit different, but I want to salute her because one of the things she started doing, because she knew I had been incarcerated for so long and wanted me to start getting acclimated and getting ready for society and life, was she started including me as much as she could on decisions. They could have been menial things. It could have been anything from what should I eat tonight to, hey, I want to invest in something. What do you think? And it became kind of a practice for me. And I didn't even really pay attention to what she was doing, but she was helping me be proactive. She was introducing life to me and including me in it and taking away my conversation away from prison and bringing it back into, society and what's going on in the world. So definitely want to, give her credit. And she's definitely going to be up here really soon. So salute to her. But that's just something.
Definitely salute my wife over here with her red Christmas robe on.
Chilling.
It's always Christmas and Thanksgiving around here.
Relax. Hey,
got my granddaughter Amani over here holding it down.
Gotta be, man.
Queens in the house.
And
hey, if I could prominent to God, peace. It takes real strength. Indeed, it does. And Faith, understand that it takes strength, and strength comes through faith and prayer and confidence. But strength doesn't always mean flexing your muscles. Just like weakness doesn't always mean, you're giving in. So this brother needs you in his life, but I believe that he's going to need you to function in the capacity of pulling the best out of him.
Yeah.
Any man should want a woman who's going to challenge him to be the best. I'm fond of saying that, I married my wife and she was 2 sizes too big for me. So I had to grow into her.
Yeah.
And her being bigger than I was, and I'm not talking about physically, I'm just talking about emotionally, intellectually, she was able to cover me at times as I grew. So oftentimes you're going to find yourself, Faith, raising a male. But, hey, peace indeed. There's confirmation. But life made a very valuable point. It's a process. The shifting and the changing of a mentality and a mindset is a process. And a process is not an event. It's not going to happen like this. It's going to take time. And you've committed this much. You might as well make sure you get a great return on your investment.
Right. And I will say this. because I'm always, this is a platform where we're gonna keep it real. Only you can decide what you're willing to endure or experience when it comes to somebody that you love. Uh, so my only other piece of advice is, as you're going, you need to lean on your partner. You don't want to have conversations about what you're going through, anything like that. Just make sure you've got the right people around you that are supporting, what you want with him. If this relationship's good, get people around you that's going to support you, because you're going to go through some rough patches, some rough moments. He's going to go through it. So that's my only other piece on that, man. I don't know if Freddie didn't. Did you have anything else on that? Because if not, I definitely want to ask a question that just came to mind.
Nah, shoot.
I bet. So you go, you went from a 4 to a 3 to a 2. Um, Basically, for everybody that's that's home watching, basically you go from a 6x9 cell environment where you're in a cell, you lock down every night. You're on a level 2 where it's an open dorm. Now you're in here with 90 some people. I don't know what was the count at St. Bride's. I'm not sure.
98 to a pod.
You're in a dorm with 97 other people, different personalities. I want to speak about, how were you when it came to not being able to have privacy or quiet or peace of mind, when always having to engage? How did your mind work in prison when it came to lines for the phones, microwaves, just all of that, those type of different, I guess, things that go on through the course of a day in prison? And then for me, when I get to a dorm, kind of gets magnified. It was always loud. I try to go to sleep and then youngins are up at 2 in the morning beating on the microwave. Like, how did you get used to that environment, knowing that you were getting closer to the door, ready to come home? But for me, we spoke about how it was more serious, guys on higher levels, because for some of them that was their reality. And then you get down to these lower levels and people are just more chaotic, which was the weirdest thing to me. How did you cope moving through that current of people? I mean, I know, but
Well, on the surface, I'm going to say initially when I arrived at St. Bride's, again, and as you said, it's a dorm. Bathrooms are open. You're in the toilet. Initially, there were some aspects of myself that locked down. It was too open for me. Again, I've spent however many years in a cell environment. All of a sudden, now you're thrust into an environment that is bananas. It's hot, it's loud, there's people all over the place, the phone lines, the shower lines. So for me, it's like I couldn't use the restroom for about 3 weeks.
yo,
The first time I tried to sit down, again, if people, you can get the visual, it's just a line of toilets and it's open. So I have to use the restroom. I have to sit down. I go to the back toilet. In 5 minutes of me pushing down my joints, here these guys come, about 10 dudes. They start blazing in the bathroom. Now, keep in mind, I'm sitting on the toilet. These cats are about 8 inches from me. Matter of fact, one reaches over me and says, "Yo, pardon me, Unc. Let me grab this joint off the shelf here." At that point, my bowels locked up, son, for like 3 weeks. So,
prison shock.
Shock, it was too much. They were too comfortable. I'm too private. It was too much. But in terms of individually and dealing with individuals, for one, I'm going to say I was older when I came in. Again, I was incarcerated at 39. By the time I hit St. Bride's, I had 10 years left. So I'm in my late 40s. I knew how to navigate almost in any space and maintain my peace. I'm thankful that I learned some time ago that peace is an internal proposition. There's nothing going on outside of me that for one can give me peace, and there's nothing going on outside of me that is going to allow me to have peace. That's all my state of mind. It almost goes back to prison is what you make it. You can be in the worst of environments and still operate with a peaceful, positive, and progressive mind. Real quick, there's a cat who wrote this book, Viktor Frankl, called Man's Search for Meaning. What it's about is this guy was in a concentration camp. He was in Auschwitz, if I'm not mistaken. And he begins to talk about how he reached a point that he said he would not allow the guards anymore to affect his state of mind, that his condition would no longer affect his mental position. And this guy's in a concentration camp. And he said that as he began to grow and to imbue and to exude more life, everyone around him was dying because they were allowing things outside of them to control what was going on inside of them. And while we weren't in concentration camps, it's an internal proposition.
Facts.
So I'm not going to say there's not times where Loco and these cats are banging on the table, or spitting at 2 a.m. that I'm kind of not like, yo, son, really?
Yeah.
But I did my best with the power and grace of God to never allow it to affect me to a point where there was going to be something that arose out of it.
Yeah, I think it's key in prison. You have to know you want out those doors. You have to know you want to move a certain way, and you got to stand on that. And the more you do that and you move down that path, people respect it. It's not hard. I want to talk about prison shock real quick. I want to go back to that point. Prison shock for me, and I want to get back to you. I leave off Sussex 2. I get sent to Greensville. Sussex 2 is lockdown. You don't go nowhere without the guard escorting you, dogs chasing you, or walking behind you, gun pointed at you.
Nipping at your pants.
Yeah. Greensville, I'm there, and they're like, oh, you got called to medical. And this is how jacked up I was. And I want to bring this to a point. So I get I walk down the stairs. I'm standing at the door. I'm waiting at the door after they told me go to medical. Medical is across the boulevard. So I got to walk outside the building, across the boulevard, and it's kind of getting dark, right? And go to the next building. Nobody's on the boulevard. I stop at the door. I'm just sitting there for 30 seconds. The guard finally says, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm waiting for a guard to escort me. The guard starts laughing. He's like, oh, man, you just walk over there.
Joey Buffono, get out of here.
Buffono. But, man, depending on what you allow to impact you, and that's what happened to me early on in my bid. I got older, I matured, I figured out some things, and I was like, this is not going to define me. And a book that I read, because you want to drop a book, I'm going to drop a book too. Soledad, brother.
George Jackson.
Yeah, and he basically spoke to the same point. When they told him to go to sleep, he was up. When he did things different than what they tried to confine and control him to, which may have led to his demise. I'm not sure. But you spoke basically about, headed a different direction. You were older in your incarceration. You moved in a certain way.
Hey, real quick, I do want to say, and I want to touch on your point. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just that I was older, because again, I committed my crime at 39. So I still was thinking like an idiot in some areas at 39. It was, one, again, I'd found the Lord, but two, at the onset, I determined I was not going to do anything to exacerbate this situation. I had already abandoned my wife, abandoned my children, my mother, my brothers. There was no way that I was going to be the cause of having to place a phone call saying, hey, because of that fight I got in over the TV, they gave me another 2 years.
I've spoke about it several times up here on this channel. I seen a guy lose his life over a TV, and he had 2 days left.
Come on, man. Come on.
Have you Have you heard any of those stories? As far any crazy? Yes, last Ambo was up here and he spoke about a guy that had a year left and ended up stabbing a guy in a cell over nothing.
Well, I've seen a guy with 2 weeks left, got sent on a mission, went in another pod, another building, complete building, caught another 5 years. I saw another guy about a week away from the door, gets caught with cell phones and drugs and all type of stuff, catches 3 years. I've seen cats, matter of fact, it was a brother, he was in 10A, stabs a dude with a pen in the bathroom. He's weeks away from going home. So no, we're not going to do that, prominent. Weeks away from the door. But this is what happens when you allow external factors to control you. We have to be the masters of our own thoughts. And when we master our own thoughts, we won't become slaves to outside circumstances. And anytime we're slaves to outside circumstances, we're not controlling our lives, but the storms and the winds of life are. And this is what happens with individuals like that. And not to disparage them, but to delineate. As for me, I came in with, I was not doing anything, even if it meant to some people I was going to look soft.
Right.
Even if it meant there might be some cats saying, man, that cat Fred, man, that dude ain't about nothing, man. He not official.
Thank you for getting up here and being honest. Thank you for that. Because everybody that went to prison wasn't, Gorilla Joe or what, no.
Nah.
I know guys.
Anybody. I was the church guy. Okay. I was the older church guy, wasn't hurting nothing, wasn't busting nothing, wasn't moving on nothing, any of that. But I feel confident in saying I had a degree of respect no matter what spread I was on, because I was a righteous, honest, straight up dude, and I was for the people. I'll help a brother in any capacity if I could.
Yeah, I used to be falling asleep in your chair sitting up.
I still do it. My wife's looking at me now.
So look, wrapping this up, bringing it to, and definitely got to have you back up here, if you don't mind. But
please, I'll be privileged. If the people want me, the people might not want me back. Gray-haired dude, man.
No, they're engaging, man. This live is lit, as they say. So
yeah, that's what they do say. They still say that?
They I have no idea.
Okay, I don't. Yeah,
Salute to the youngins though, because
to the youngins. We love the youngins.
I just know I'm getting old now, and it's okay.
Yeah, I'm getting older.
Definitely older. I like
older, not old. Old is a whole nother place to be in.
I'm getting wise. Let me ask this before we go. Either one message you would give to somebody on the edge coming, throwing stones at prison, or greatest lesson you learned, or maybe that could be answered in one. Your choice.
Somebody who's throwing stones at the prison.
Somebody that's risking their life, that's just out there in the streets, and you could tell them anything about prison.
If I could tell them anything about prison, I would tell them that is the one place they were not created to be. Of any place on this planet Earth, prison was definitely not the place where you were intended to be. There are plenty of people who go into prison and accomplish and attain and obtain tremendous things and perform tremendous works, but that's the aberration. That's for the average. You're going in there and you're not coming out any better than you went in, and for the most part, you're coming out worse. So I would just try to instill a sense of personal value in the brother. Maybe to not make it so much about prison, but to make it more about him and his personal worth and his personal value, and just try to understand that you've got greater things, man, than sitting in and then paint the picture for him. Is this really where you want to be? Where every day you're working up the dude's bunions and cats You got to be in the shower with 4 cats, and you got to wait online to sit on the toilet. And is that where you really want to
Turn
be?
the wall so your celly can use the bathroom because the
Come
toilet.
on, man. This dude's busting gas all night, and there's nowhere you can go, and you can't get mad because he's asleep.
And the guys will post video, and teach his own. They're posting videos like prisons fly. Prison is not fly. They
Prison not fly.
when that
Prison fly.
phone, when that recording is done, they not nobody's smiling in it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to say that. You can find joy, you can find peace, you can find that anywhere.
Anywhere, and you should.
Yeah, you should. But unfortunately, there's a vast majority of people that don't find that because they're feeding into the wrong height. And prison is doing to them what it was designed to do, and it's picking them apart. Be different, man. Go against the current. Be strong enough to do that, because once that time is gone, you don't get it back.
Yeah, if a million people do a stupid thing, it's still a stupid thing.
Still a stupid thing.
And we just, we're I don't, again, and I'm going to attribute this to culturally, we have some issues that we need to address. And one of them is labeling and defining. And when we're looking at successful business owners who, don't curse, or they're not from the hood, and, they're family people, and we begin to label them as cornballs and squares and lames, what we're doing for a generation is now putting a sign on something that this is not what you want to be. And when we start calling the gangsters and, the drug pushers and the pimps and all of that, the men, we're switching codes, and we have to understand the power of definitions. We have to understand the power of imagery, and we have to just understand, man, that the deck is stacked.
It's definitely stacked.
We're not going to stack it. They've already stacked it.
I would just say, man, and furthermore, to the youth, to anybody that's playing with their life, because that's what I'm gonna say. That's what it is. Stop.
And you're playing with your life for real. I mean, these people gave me 18 years. They gave you what?
They gave me 19.
19 years. At 19, they don't care about your age. Matter of fact, and I'm gonna step out there and say, there's a place where this is about race, but it's also about class.
It's definitely about class.
And we just need to be aware that these people have set traps in the road. And when you get in it, it's extremely hard to get out. Remember, we have some cities in the United States of America where 85% of the black men over 18 are on probation, parole, or locked up.
Oh.
1 out of 8 black children don't have a father because he's in prison.
School to prison pipeline.
Virginia has almost the largest one in the United States.
Yeah.
So we just got to be aware, and more importantly, we have to think, I have to think, you have to think better of ourselves. I'm better than have to bust. I'm better than that. I'm not better than any person, but I'm better than a number of actions. And we've just got to get things like that,
Right. Well, we've been up here. We've talked a little bit about a lot. We definitely, I feel like we got to do a part 2, touch on some more topics.
Yeah, I feel like I was all over the place.
Hey,
I'm here.
I feel like anytime we're up here, that's probably what it's going to be. But there's a place for that because the conversation is real. It's not.
Yeah, we ping pong a lot.
Yeah, we're not scripting nothing. We're speaking from experience. We're speaking from the heart. We're speaking from truth, and then when we don't know, we're gonna tell you we don't know.
We're gonna tell you we don't know. But
yeah,
I want to salute you, Life, man, for this platform, man. The incarcerated population, man, is a maligned and disparaged population. So thank you, brother, for this, man. Peace, Prominent. Faith, wish the best to you.
Indeed.
And for everybody out there, please understand that the one thing that I can speak for my brother here, and we haven't even begun to got into, this gentleman and I, but we're better than these institutions.
Indeed.
Please don't ever forget, and I had to come to grips with this. I considered myself a family man. I considered myself a man who loved and protected and guided and girded his family. But when I did what I did, I had to really say I didn't love my family as much as I said I did. Because if I did, I would have never engaged or interacted with anything that had the power or the potential to take me away from them.
That might be the next time we get up here. Do I love myself? Do I love my family? Do I love my freedom? Do I love my children? Whatever it is, more than I love the streets.
Hey, you always tell what somebody loves by where they spend their time and their money.
That's facts, man.
And the decisions they make. So
let me give you the opportunity. I definitely want to give you the opportunity. Just if there's anything you want to shout out, I got your IG. I'm definitely going to scroll that one more time across the screen in case anybody wants to get in touch with Freddie Williams, founder of the Nehemiah Empowerment Project, developing leaders from the inside out. Been in motion for a minute, and there's a whole story behind that. But I'm gonna let him, talk about anything he's into, ways you can get in touch with him, etc., etc. But he'll definitely be up here again in the near future.
Well, I think you put the email up there, and as far as the Nehemiah Empowerment Project, we're in the process of ramping up. For those who would like to know what it is, initially it was established, it was founded, it was organized to bring resources, information, education, empowerment, and enlightenment to the incarcerated population. No matter what the sentence, 95% of people who are sentenced are coming home. You just heard us talking about how bereft the rehabilitation process in prison is. Well, we came in and we stepped in and augmented that. We added to it, we supplemented it so that when brothers leave, they will have been the beneficiaries of a wealth of seminars, of contact with public officials, with individuals who have gone on from incarceration to be successful, for business owners, you name it. We also work with children. Don't have to be at risk, don't have to be high risk. You just need to be a youth. There's plenty of youth who are involved in nothing, who need mentorship, who need cultivating, who need nurturing, and we're here for that. So that's the Nehemiah Empowerment Project. Please, check us out. The brother here, Christopher Life Willis, is the vice president. But again, we have a story for that.
Man,
everybody, I'm just getting humbled by just being on here tonight. Thank you very much, brother. You're better than what you think you are.
You're better than
what you think you are. That's to anybody and everybody listening. You're better than what you think you are. When you raise your level of thinking, you'll raise your level of life. So begin to think better about yourself, and you'll get better results out of your life.
Shit, man. Stay in the fight, and you're definitely going to find out just how great you are.
Yes.
How great you were made.
Yeah. Napoleon Hill has a quote. He said that effort only releases its fullest reward to those who refuse to quit.
No struggle, no progress.
Indeed.
Ask us how, and we still grind it. We're both dedicated. I'm speaking on both our behalves. We're both dedicated just to the change in the mindsets, man. Negative mindsets. We are who we are. We always going to be that. We've made mistakes.
Plenty of them.
That's where the wisdom comes from. That's where the education.
Still making some.
Yeah, go make you some, right?
They just don't lead to felonies anymore.
Yeah, we're not doing those. And we want to salute anybody that's watching this content, that's fighting forward. Whether you've been impacted by incarceration or not, keep fighting forward. If you are impacted by incarceration, know that there's a platform. There are people out here that are willing to have conversations with you and be a form of support, and network, etc. We're here. There's a whole community dedicated to that. Anybody dealing with mental health issues, etc., don't be scared to seek help. Don't think that something isn't worth the effort or the value, including yourself, because no matter who you are priceless. You were made in that way, man. This is D100 TV. I've been up for 176 hours straight grinding,
counting.
but it's a good day. You know, it's a blessed day. I got some ideas, going forward, man. But definitely a privilege and an honor to have you up here,
I
big
love you. I love you, my brother. That
man.
never be understated. I love you, man.
We gonna be back up here again, it seems, man. And that's it, man. Salute to the world. Peace, love,
Indeed.
blessings, man. Until next time, we out. Peace.
Peace.